Hello, my dearies. So I just listened to this awesome episode of a podcast called the Bewildered Podcast, and I'm going to put it in the description. And I've been wanting to make more videos, just conveying this message that is really well captured in it, which is um, we don't need to be calm all of the time, okay? They do a beautiful job explaining in the episode about how, like, that's actually a way to keep people disempowered, is to keep preaching this, like, they call it big wellness message of like, stay calm. Like, if you're having a hard time, especially assigned female at birth people, like, it's because you need to add more hours to your day of doing self care. Like, you're not taking good enough care of yourself. And the reality is that being a physical entity on a planet, excuse me, like ours, where there is a lot of very real threat a lot of the time, and where we live with the like existential dread of climate change and having this government that is like very inconsistent and very much puts more of the burden back on people who are historically disproportionately discriminated against and at greater risk of health problems and financial difficulties and blah, 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 blah. All of these things make it so that this world is not a place where it's a good idea to stay super calm all of the time. And the more threatened you feel, and the more you like squelch down that awareness within your body, the more you're going to struggle, right? So, staying calm is not the goal. Like, having a nervous system that's responsive and flexible and having the knowledge of how to support your nervous system when it reacts to the threat cues in the environment or in your internal um, functioning is very important and valuable. Staying calm is not a kindness to yourself. Staying calm all of the time, right? Like, of course, we want to embrace and enjoy calm, and we want to be able to support ourselves to be able to show up to situations with grace and dignity when we're able to. Awesome. But the truth is, we're not always going to be able to, nor should we be able to, right? The nervous system is not going to always be correct. Sometimes it's going to perceive a threat where there isn't one. For example, when your phone has a notification and you are worried about work or worried about a relationship, you might perceive a threat when it's like AT&T saying like 50% off new phones. Okay, so in that case, it's not accurate necessarily. However, the nervous system's response is accurate in communicating to you, you are scared of something on that phone. And that gives you the ability to take care of what it is that you're scared of. So when you're scared or angry, it tells you that there's probably something that needs to shift in your life, right? So if I'm scared about the possibility of receiving contact from a work environment that I'm going to experience as dangerous, that gives me information about my work life. Now, does that mean I'm going to be able to just like get a dream job all of a sudden? No, but it is going to give me information that I can start to look at my work situation and start to create some like long-term plans or reach out for more support around that situation, right? So we don't want to just be like chill and calm, because the nervous system is giving you information that's valuable so that you can figure out what's happening in your life and where you might need some more support or some change or some boundaries or some assertive communication, right? For example, I had a really stressful situation that came up around my kiddo and some co-parenting stuff. And it was validly scary. Like, my nervous system response was big. I went into a sympathetic response because I was legitimately scared. And I also like, would I like to be raising my voice in a public place around a co-parenting thing? That's not my first choice, right? But I also respect that evolution's imperative is to keep the species alive. And so people who have given birth to a being have millions of years of that evolutionary imperative embedded into their DNA in a very serious, like, you can't overwrite it kind of way. So when I see that being that I gave birth to physically threatened, I'm going to go into sympathetic, and I should go into sympathetic, right? Because there's nothing else that my body can do. It's literally designed to keep that human that I gave birth to alive. And so I had a big response, and I was able to watch myself be in that big response. And what's interesting is that I was saying, I am scared. I am upset because I am scared. I am having a lot of emotions right now, is what I was saying. And I was giving myself permission to have those big feelings, because that's what this whole episode that I'm linking in the description from Bewildered Podcast is about. You got to let the big feelings out. I wasn't saying to the people around me, like, you're dirt bags and you should go to hell. I was saying, I am scared. I am having emotions and I need to have those emotions right now. And please don't tell me to stop having the emotions, because I really need to have the emotions. And the world has all sorts of emotions about emotions, right? The world has all sorts of rules about why you should keep those emotions in. And they lay out really beautifully in the podcast about how, like, what better way to keep a group of people disempowered and following an authority figure is if you communicate to them, like, please do not process your emotions, sedate yourself, calm down, take a chill pill, right? Let's put all of you on a track where you're either going to be taking a medication that's been prescribed to you, or you're going to be medicating yourself in some sort of way, whether it be through social media or through workaholism or some sort of substance, like, or some sort of food, right? Like, sedating yourself because you have been communicated to since you were itty bitty, like, big emotions are unacceptable and we will not tolerate them. We will actually punish you if you have big emotions or big physical movements, right? And so we have been trained into that. So the whole message is, like, one, never beat yourself up or blame yourself for having big emotions or for reaching for sedation. Like, the big emotions are just purely natural. The reaching for sedation has been trained into you. Three, like, let's stop asking people to get their nervous systems regulated and instead offer to people to heal, like, their relationship with their nervous system so that the nervous system can be very communicative and flexible. Because are you going to sometimes experience some big emotions and have outbursts or do something that doesn't totally line up with your values? Yes. But then you get in really awesome information about who you are, what you're dealing with, what you need, what is, like, ready to be healed in your life and processed out of you. They give the great example of, like, when someone has a cough and they take a cough suppressant to try to not cough, they're actually, like, holding all of that phlegm inside of them so that they, like, will get pneumonia, right? We need to get the stuff out. And it's absolutely the case with emotions. And I was talking to all the little 12-year-olds that were hanging out with my kid today, and I was saying, like, the cough analogy is good, but I feel like diarrhea is a better analogy. Like, you cannot hold diarrhea in. You can either, like, if you're like, hey, I have diarrhea, like, I could take a bunch of medication and try to stop it so that I can, like, show up to work or whatever. Or, and, like, that's just, it's not gonna, like, work the thing out of my system that needed to get out of my system. Or I can, like, try to push through and not take a bunch of medication and end up, like, having diarrhea in a really not opportune situation, like at work or in the car or whatever. And it's going to be a mess and a bothersome and really hard for other people and, like, not awesome. Or I can be like, hey, I have diarrhea. Something needs to come out of my system. I am like going to set aside some time and sit on a toilet. And the toilets for our nervous system responses are like therapy. Like, I'm going to make an appointment for myself and I'm going to go say all of the things that I'm upset about to my therapist because it's a safe, nice toilet that can hold all that diarrhea, right? I'm going to like really up my physical movement and my mindfulness so that I can process this stuff through. I'm going to get a journal and I'm going to write every day, like, I hate these mother effer people who ruin my life, right? Get it out in a safe way. That's like a nice toilet that can contain your diarrhea. And then you can flush it through and you can move on and you can rebuild your digestive system or your nervous system by like giving it sweet, nice, like gentle foods. So we give ourselves like sweet, nice, gentle resources like taking breaks from things that are really hard for us or um, again, journaling, meditating, sleeping more, like curling up with a favorite book or movie or show or Instagram, whatever it is, being really sweet to yourself when you're having these big emotions, letting them come out in as safe a way as possible, knowing that sometimes you're not going to get it right and you're not going to know. And all of a sudden, it's just explosive diarrhea everywhere. And then you just get to clean it up and be human and tell the humans around you, like, hey, I'm so sorry. I would have liked to handle that better, but I wasn't able to. Heidi Clemens, who was on the podcast recently, just had um, a I don't know what they're called, a thing on Instagram that was like she lost her shit at someone driving in a car, and then she realized later, like, oh, probably that person was having a hard day, and it's like, yeah, sometimes you're not going to get it. You're going to just have diarrhea suddenly on something that's not the best. And then we get to just be like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I realize I would have loved to handle that better, but my nervous system didn't have the wherewithal. So much grace, so much encouragement to feel your feelings in whatever way is right for you. Take extra good care of yourself and consider like when you're wanting to be regulated, like ask yourself the question, am I trying to sedate myself right now so that I'm not a threat to this system that wants us all to be stoic and chill? Or am I supporting myself and making sure that whatever it is that I'm wanting to calm down from is getting the attention that it needs to be able to communicate to me about what's going on for me at that deep core level and how I can support myself. So you do not have to calm down all of the time. Okay. I love you so much. Take such good care of yourselves and look forward to talking again soon.